Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you join me in part 1 of my vlog, a quest for better temperatures. Now, what do I mean by looking for better temperatures? It's quite simple. You can see here, got my hardware in the background. And yes, I can safely say that my temperatures are completely and utterly atrocious. Why is that? Now first, some information, okay? I got a great deal on an i7-4790K together with a MSI Z97 motherboard. I got a 1080 Ti Mini from Zotac. I got a H440O. And from my previous build, I brought over my ID Cooling FrostFlow 240L liquid AIO all-in-one cooler from my previous build into this new build, right? It's not really that new. The hardware is pretty ancient, but you know, when you're on a budget like I am, that's all you can do. Okay, so put everything in, and lo and behold, the temperatures were absolutely terrible. Now, I'm going to run some numbers across the screen that you can see right now. And running at stock, 1.1 volts vCore, you know, it was set on auto on the motherboard. 1.1 volts on the vCore, 74 degrees when stress tested with OCCT and POV-RACE CPU benchmarks. Quite terrible when you consider that it is on a liquid AIO, right? So I tried to do some overclocking because why not? Live dangerously. At 1.2 volts and at 4.4 gigahertz, I stopped testing because we hit 92 degrees Celsius, which is absolutely insane, crazy. It's absolutely nuts, right? At only 1.2 volts, right? So I thought, okay, so I'm gonna delid my CPU and I'm gonna change the thermal paste that comes with the standard CPU, the Intel's standard thermal paste, right? And replace it with a Thermal Grizzly's conductor knob. Right, so I deleted it. You can find the link below and somewhere around here of me deleting my my CPU. And of course, ran it through some more benchmarks, and I can't even say much other than I'm just gonna run the results across the screen. You know, the furthest that I dared to go for a stable overclock where the heat was not too crazy was 4.5 gigahertz at 1.25 volts, and just look at the results. And these are OCCT and POV-RACE stress tested, right? Again, terrible. And on a liquid AIO as well, right? So I thought, okay, I did not win the silicon lottery. I have a pretty hot chip. Fine, you know? Okay, let's put the GPU through its paces. Of course, I ran Final Fantasy XV's benchmark at 4K with all of the details up to ultra, hairworks, ambient occlusion, everything was whacked up to maximum. Oh boy, I ended up with, again, you can see it across the screen right now, a pretty high temperature. We hit thermal throttling less than a quarter of the way through, you know, 86 degrees Celsius. Again, palpably insane number. You know, what's the whole point of a 1080 Ti if you can't even try to play it at 4K ultra? And this is at stock clocks, you know, no overclocking, nothing at all. So I thought, okay, I'll drop down the resolution to 1440p, 2560 by 1440. Again, leave it on ultra and everything. Run the benchmark again, and got a pretty respectable 81 degrees Celsius and a pretty good score on it as well. But again, temperature's 81 degrees Celsius. I have no thermal headroom for overclocking at all. So yeah, so clearly the stock heatsink and fan solution on the Z80 Ti Mini is really not good enough for, you know, high spec gaming. I mean, if you drop it all the way down to 1080p, sure you could, but then you might as well just play with a 1070, right? Or a 1060, right? And overclock that. So what's the next step? Well, I'm gonna replace the AIO. I don't think I can do much more with the chip. With something slightly more premium from a more well-known maker. In this case, NZXT at the Kraken X62. And I'm going to replace the heatsink and fan on the Zotac Ti Mini with a Kraken G12 together with a Corsair H80i V2. Okay, so yeah, we're going to see what happens next. Fingers crossed everything's going to be good. The temperatures are going to come back under control. Part 2 is going to be just a quick speed run of me assembling everything and putting it back into the case that you see right here. Alright, that's it for me. Peace out.